Hello, everyone. Hello again, and many thanks for your attention, for joining the stream, and of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who will either join later on or will watch this video after the stream. Today is 22nd of May, 7 o'clock in the evening, Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some important major developments that I'm going to share in this live stream. Unfortunately, there was no donations today whatsoever, no questions from any of the support platforms or the comments that I can highlight after the news segment. But I received a question from a member of our Patreon community, and I will definitely answer to that after the news. And so, also, dear friends, I noticed several comments of members of our community that are saying that they are not receiving information from YouTube about any of my videos being dropped. And well, dear friends, channel is in shadow ban on YouTube, basically since its creation, and therefore, maybe if you click bell. If you not just subscribe but also click bell and then choose all videos to receive notifications about, maybe that will help. Or if you will unsubscribe and then subscribe again, that may trigger algorithm. Otherwise, I don't even know what to say. Channel is in shadow ban and their algorithm is trying to suppress it as much as possible. So best way is to just check on regular basis if there is any update. And when it comes to live streams, if there is no technical issues or something like that, then at 11 o'clock Moscow time and in the morning and that's 7 o'clock evening time, I have these live streams, at least for now, as long as this let's say experiment with these double streams a day continues, and hopefully it will continue long enough, because I start this new program, these two streams in the morning, in the evening, in hopes that this will help to reach wider audience and also to generate additional income for this project, so that I can stay focused on this work full time. Otherwise, well, I give myself just months, about months, isn't it, for this experiment. If it would not work, then close to end of next month, probably I will stop making these live streams and I will just find a day job, and then I don't know what will happen after that. I will maintain my work on Patreon and Rumble, obviously, and I will try to be active on these channels, I mean on YouTube and Rumble. But anyways, dear friends, it's hard to tell what is going to be tomorrow, right? Maybe, I don't know, some businesses in Russia will wake up tomorrow and realize that, you know what, this channel is actually doing some good stuff, right? Let's help him and give him some advertising. I mean, after all, thousands and thousands of people are watching my content on daily basis, right? And they might have some interest to highlight their businesses for the potential tourists, because all of you, dear friends, potentially are tourists, right, that can visit Russia, Moscow, and many members of our community already did, right? But anyways, let's start this stream and go through some news now. And let me start with this sort of breaking news, because for some members of our community this news may come as a surprise, but for many probably don't, because well, Russian president announced that decision was made to create a buffer zone along the borders with Ukraine. So decision has been made to create a security buffer zone along the border between Russia and Ukraine, and the Russian troops are solving this problem. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced this at the operational meeting with the members of the government. Okay, Okay, Russian troops already are creating buffer zone in Sumy region. Sorry, dear friends. Anna just told me that it's just me on the screen. Okay, this way it will be better. So yes, Russian troops already are creating a buffer zone, isn't it? And so this is not really that much of a surprise. For example, if you take a look at the Sumy region, right opposite side of a border of Kursk salient, already number of settlements are under Russian control. Russian troops also began creating a buffer zone in opposite of Belgorod region, and the Marina settlement, for example, is already being liberated, and process will continue. Nothing to be said about this Kharkov region, where in Lipsy direction and Volchansk direction, Russian troops already have established control over their several settlements. But still, for some people, this news may come as a sort of surprise. I guess we should maybe this statement is a kind of announcement what to expect this summer from Russian troops, and if that is the case, then probably we will see sectoral scale offensive operation in Sumy direction, maybe in Chernigov region also. And well, Russian troops already are quite active in the Kharkov region, and maybe this summer Russian troops will liberate Kupiansk city, for example. And yesterday I reported about breach by Russian forces of a border with the Dnipropetrovsk region, and maybe Russian troops will start creating a buffer zone in the Dnipropetrovsk region, because, as I said, Dnipropetrovsk is bordering, for example, DPR on one side and Zaporozhye region on other. Both regions are part of Russia based on a referendum that was conducted in these areas and based on Russian constitution. So okay, we have something to think about, because there is so much speculation, isn't it, about what Russia might do this summer, and I think president is giving us some hint what to expect. Probably intensification of Russian troops in terms of creating this buffer zone. And meanwhile, of course, special military operation continues, and Russian armed forces liberated the Novaya Poltavka settlement in a DPR. Let me show you this settlement also on the map. This is northern eastern flank of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration, and well, this is the settlement, dear friends, this area. And well, Russian troops, as I said in previous updates, are quite active in attempt to create this pincer movement and encircle both cities, Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, because this is definitely the way to go forward to liberate these cities. Obviously, Russian troops not gonna enter cities with frontal assault, because it does makes no sense. This city is gonna be reinforced, and it's gonna be like a trap for Russian troops if they will attempt direct attack. But for sure, Russian troops are moving on the western and northern eastern flanks to create to encircle basically both these areas. But what is most also very important, if we take a look at the map, dear friends, clearly we can see this bulge here, isn't it? And I think it is also highly likely that Russian troops will try to basically conduct to shut this pocket here with the offensive operations from, let's say, Chisovyar direction on the north, and from let's say very same Novaya Poltavka settlement on the southwest, and encircle entire this territory, Kiev regime's forces in this area, including Konstantinovka city. And if that's what is going to happen, then I guess Russian troops will manage to create a cauldron in which at least 50,000 troops of Kiev regime will be encircled. So this is also a possibility. And if you don't have to be military expert basically to take a look at the map and see such a possibility that Russian troops might try to cut this bulge and neutralize whatever forces will end up in encirclement. Let's see. I never claimed to be military expert, so therefore, dear friends, you should take my predictions on potential military operations with a pinch or mountain of salt. But this is just our opinion, and probably many of you, while looking at the map, will have same reading of the picture that, well, clearly there is a potential there to conduct offensive operation, cut off that bulge and encircle whatever troops Kiev regime has there, and it's tens of thousands of troops, by the way. Meanwhile, TASS news agency is reporting that Russian side received a list of 1,000 Ukrainian POWs that Kiev regime wants to be exchanged on 1,000 Russian POWs. Agreement about this exchange was reached during the recent negotiations in Istanbul between Russian and Ukrainian delegations. A press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, spoke about it today, and let me give you his statement. Moscow has received from Kiev a counter list of prisoners for exchange according to formula 1,000 for 1,000. Russian presidential press secretary Dmitry Peskov told the TASS. And I guess Kiev regime also received similar list of Russian POWs. And even though obviously it takes time to find all these 1,000 POWs on both sides, I think it is a possibility that hardly before end of this week, but maybe either next week or week after, this prisoner exchange probably will take place. Let's see how the situation develops. But sides are moving forward on this matter, and they're already exchanged the lists of POWs that they want to see during their exchange. RT is also reporting that, well, no agreement on Ukrainian talks in Vatican have been reached yet, also according to Kremlin. As I reported earlier, dear friends, in today's first update, and I believe yesterday during the evening update also, I mentioned this. Some media outlets reported that next round of direct talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegations might take place in Vatican in the beginning of in the first half of June next month. And Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, was asked about it, and that's what he said. Let's go through this news here. There are currently no formal agreements on holding negotiations between Moscow and Kiev in the Vatican. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Thursday, noting that there is not set location at all for the next round of talks. His comments came after Wall Street Journal claimed on Wednesday, citing sources, that Russian and Ukrainian delegations are allegedly set to meet in the Vatican sometime in mid-June. Well, now it's mid-June. Earlier in media, I see first half of June. But anyway, it is a June month, okay? And, well, that's where we are right now. No concrete agreement between the sides about continuation of these direct talks and where these talks should take place. I would not be surprised if it will be Vatican. After all, seems like current administration of US is interested in de-escalation. At least that's what we can say based on their statements. And new Pope in Vatican is American, isn't it? US citizen. So there may be some talks already happening between Vatican and Washington, and potentially between Vatican and Kiev and Moscow, but yet again, no formal agreement for now has been reached. Meanwhile, dear friends, Kiev regime, with the assistance of NATO member states, continues to launch waves after waves of drones to strike deep into Russian territory, and one of the main targets is Russian capital, Moscow, and Mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, on regular basis updates public about the situation in regards to this aerial threat. Today, for example, at least twice, Sergei Sobyanin reported about enemy drones being intercepted on their approach to Moscow, and probably later on, either today, later on, or tomorrow morning, Russian Defense Ministry will update us, and I would not be surprised at all if overall number of intercepted drones that were approaching Moscow will be at least a couple of dozens. And when it comes to air defense systems, I think this news is also interesting that I shared just about an hour ago on my Telegram and Twitter X pages, that Poland plans to buy some 788 Patriot missiles from the US for $5.8 billion. On May 15, 2025, a request was submitted to the US Senate to approve the planned sale of 788 PAC-2 GMT missiles to Poland, intended for use in the Patriot systems. The total cost of this potential deal is estimated at 5.8 billion. These missiles are intended to expand the arsenal that Poland already has, which was replenished in 2018 with their PAC-3 MSE missiles as a part of Vistula program. Okay, Poland is basically militarizing quite a big time, really. Probably in Europe, Poland is a leading country at this point that spends a lot of money on all sorts of military hardware, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, air defense systems, planes, and air force, and so on. And if any one country should be very about these developments, about this extreme militarization of Poland, is, in my personal opinion, Germany. Potentially all neighbors of Poland, but first of all Germany, because as I said many times before, I have no doubts personally that once this conflict will end in this creation of Bolsheviks under the name of Ukraine, Russia will establish direct or indirect control over the entire territory of this former Soviet Republic, with the exception of western parts of it, right? And these western parts of this so-called Ukraine, as we all know, used to be mainly some 70% of it, by the way, 75% of it was part of Poland during the Second World War, and the Soviet Union took it and gave it to the Soviet Ukraine. And as a compensation, Poland received some land from Eastern Germany. And I think when Poland will reclaim these territories in Western Ukraine, many people in Germany will start questioning the German land that was given to Poland as a compensation. And many people will demand these territories back, where, by the way, ethnic Germans are still living until now, right? I believe hundreds of thousands. And obviously, this issue will create some tensions between two countries. Poland and Germany are not really friends and never were friendly nations towards each other, historically speaking. And obviously, this topic of territories, gonna further deteriorate relationships between Warsaw and Berlin. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, that if any one country should be, cautious in regards to this extreme militarization of Poland, is first of all Germany. And by the way, we should also keep in mind that Germany's government is also planned to begin a high level of militarization. They are justifying this with their unexisted Russian threats, as every other country in NATO does, by the way. But I think real reasons why Germany will also start militarizing is to deal with Poland when time comes. Mark my words, dear friends, I'm talking about some next 10 to 15, max 20 years. So most likely many of us We don't know how long we're going to live, but hopefully all of us will live long enough to see that, my reading of the big picture was absolutely correct in this regard. As in many other times, by the way, let's be real. I mean, quite often my predictions are spot on, although, Okay, anyways, let's continue. And also interesting news that I shared on my Telegram and Twitter X page, that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that he no longer seeks any re-elections. We have quote from him: "I have no intention of being re-elected or running for president again." And you know what? I think he's honest in this statement. At this point, as far as I understand, the foreign minister of Turkey is being considered as a potential replacement for Erdogan, and probably that's exactly what is going to happen. Although globalists, are not really happy with Turkey, they would like to see some other forces in the power there, and therefore next presidential elections in Turkey gonna be a real battle between these forces that are currently in the power there. We can call them neo-Ottoman forces, sort of, and between let's call them I don't know, liberals. Let's call Turkish opposition liberals. Okay. But anyways, when it comes to this particular statement of Erdogan, I think we should take it seriously, because I guess he had enough. He had enough of it. And by the way, he is a historical figure. We might like him or not, and many of us probably dislikes this person. But he is a historical figure. He survived God knows how many attempts of assassination. He survived at least one attempt of the coup d'etat. And he clearly put back on the geopolitical map Turkey. This is just unquestionable, right? Although, very same time during his reign, Turkey was struggling with their severe economical depression, inflation, and all that kind of unpleasant stuff, and still continues to deal with it. By the way, Turkish economy is not really in a good place, but this is the cost, I guess, for these ambitions that Erdogan and his party, his inner circle, has to put back Turkey on the geopolitical map as a at least major regional player. And he's successful in this. We should acknowledge that. Also, by the way, interesting news that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi sent a letter to their UN Secretary General, and in this message, he highlighted that if Israel attacks on the nuclear facilities of Iran, Tehran will blame Washington for that. So Washington will be its partner and bear the legal responsibility. So basically, this is a message from Iran that if country is attacked by Israel, then Iran will take retaliatory steps and will strike back on US also, potentially. That's how I am reading this, because what other way we can interpret these words that Washington will be a partner of Israel and bear legal responsibility. I think this is a warning from Tehran to Washington that, whatever schemes Netanyahu's government and the US leadership have, whatever plans they have to attack Iran, maybe first Israel is attacked, then Iran's retaliation and US's involvement or something else, but Iran will retaliate anyways. Either no matter Israel will attack alone or together with US and other allies. Significant statement, I think, and Washington should take it seriously. Also, interesting news from RT that China is allegedly existential threat for US, according to CIA deputy director. Let's go through this news here. China's economic might makes their Asian nation a unique challenge as the US competes with it for a global influence. CIA deputy director Michael Ellis has stated, we have a quote here, China is an existential threat to American security in a way that we really have never confronted before, Ellis said in an interview with Axios on Wednesday. Unlike with the Soviet Union, the current competition is primarily unfolding along the economic lines. He explained Ellis said technological supremacy in such fields as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, semiconductors, and advanced energy storage will ultimately determine the outcome of the geopolitical contest. He outlined the CIA's evolving priorities in an era where traditional methods of human intelligence gathering face increasing limitations. There has to be an evolution of operational tradecraft, Ellis stated, while some of their tools and their techniques from the 1960s or 70s might still work today. A lot of them need to be updated and refreshed. To meet the challenge, Ellis said the agency is recruiting an elite workforce with advanced scientific and engineering expertise, emphasizing a drive to build ultimate meritocracy at the CIA. Well, okay. We all know, dear friends, that U.S. political class considers China as a major threat for its struggle for a dominant position, sort of, in this world. So no surprises here. Western ruling class in general, not just U.S. political class, but Western ruling class in general considers China as an existential threat, and that's why. And this is by the way, primary reason why Western ruling class is using whatever tools it has to provoke regional war in the Middle East right now, because as I said many times before, if they manage to provoke regional war with their attacks on Iran or any other ways, then what will happen is that the navigation in the Persian Gulf and the Hormuz Strait gonna be cut, and China gonna lose Chinese economy, first of all, gonna lose a major lifeline, energy lifeline for its economy, right? And unfortunately, these forces, U.S. political class and Western ruling elites, clearly are pushing closer and closer this region of the Middle East towards this regional war. And that's why, by the way, U.S. is encircling Iran in any way possible, and that's why Israel is actively preparing military hostilities against Iran, and almost on daily basis now we are receiving, we are seeing articles after articles in the Western press, for example, about preparations of Netanyahu's regime to strike Iran, with or without U.S. Obviously, none of us believes that Israel will strike Iran without cooperating with U.S. and number of other Western countries, but openly they might and probably will not say it, right? It all depends what kind of plans they have, how they plan to provoke this regional war. But nevertheless, interesting news, I think. And when it comes to global confrontation, well, we have this news, which is, I think, also interesting, that Russia is introducing new air-to-air nuclear missile, according to U.S. intelligence. Russia is introducing new air-to-air missile with nuclear warheads as a part of general expansion of its nuclear forces. It is reported that this is presumably a modernized version of R-37M missile. Russia likely maintains and also as additional information, Russia allegedly maintains a nuclear stockpile of about 1,550 deployed strategic warheads and up to 2,000 non-strategic warheads. Overall number of nuclear warheads in Russian arsenal is about 6,000, I believe, little more than US stockpile. And when it comes to this information, it is quite interesting, in my opinion, because this is air-to-air missile, by the way. And, one might ask, why you need air-to-air missile to be tipped with a nuclear warhead? And, even though I'm not a physicist, not a scientist or the military expert, I do know that explosion of nuclear warhead is creating EMP, right? And EMP can basically destroy electronic equipment quite effectively. And maybe this weapon system, which may be deployed by Russia, maybe not. It's just US intelligence that's saying this. Maybe this weapon system is exactly that. Its task is to basically take out electronic equipment of enemy forces in large scale. So if a nuclear weapon will detonate, let's say, in 10-kilometer height, then I guess in a very significant area, everything electronic will just burn down, right? It will just not work. So it's electromagnetic impulse, by the way. Sun does such a trick quite often whenever there is coronal ejections, isn't it? And it's nothing extraordinary or nothing new to science, to physicists. So maybe that's what is happening. Maybe this is one of the ways that Russian military nuclear technologies are also developing towards EMPs. Okay, interesting to know. And few more news, dear friends. RIA Novosti is reporting that the European Parliament supported the introduction of duties on fertilizers from Russia. What psychopaths, man. What psychopaths these people are in charge of, formally in charge of Europe, by the way, or EU. The European Parliament has voted overwhelmingly to introduce new protective duties on imports of agricultural products and fertilizers from Russia and Belarus, despite the protests from European farmers who fear a sharp rise in the prices for key goods. 411 deputies voted for the document, 100 voted against, and 78 abstained. Okay, dear friends, I mean, what we can say about it? Clearly psychopaths, isn't it? These people that are formally in charge of EU are so indoctrinated in whatever Sikh ideology globalists have or Sikh agenda, and these elements are so ideologized that they just simply don't care about European countries, European economies, life of citizens of EU member states. They simply don't care because, this decision is yet another demonstration of that, isn't it? Okay, agricultural produce, by the way, Russia can sell it somewhere else. But when it comes to fertilizers, who needs fertilizers? It's the farmers, isn't it? They need fertilizers to produce agricultural goods, right? And if EU introduces whatever barriers against Russian fertilizers, what's going to happen? Third parties going to get involved, right? Third parties from whichever country worldwide, they're going to buy Russian fertilizers, mark it as produced, somewhere, and sell it again back to EU, right? But with a premium. And so European farmers going to pay, I don't know, some 15, 20, 30% more for very same stuff that they can buy directly from Russia. And as a result, farmers going to suffer because their produce will get more expensive, and people buyers of this agricultural produce, ordinary citizens, going to suffer also because goods will become just too expensive. So you tell me, dear friends, what is wrong with these people that are in charge of European countries? Why they are destroying livelihoods of citizens of EU member states? And thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses, man, with their crazy decisions. In any sector, by the way, not just agriculture, but in any sector. I don't know. Europe is really doomed, dear friends. I mean, members of our community from Europe can share their opinion. I hope they will share their opinion, what they think, because, maybe I'm missing something, but all these decisions that European elites are making is just, I don't know, against Europe, basically, and destroying the future of Europe. And I will end this news segment, dear friends, with this news that ruble strengthens to a 2-year high against US dollar. So the Russian ruble has climbed to a 2-year high against US dollar, supported by easing geopolitical tensions and renewed hopes for resolving the Ukrainian conflict. On Thursday, the Russian currency reached 78.9 rubles against the dollar, its strongest level since mid-May 2023. It has gained about 11% since early March. And dear friends, you might think this is a good news for Russia, good news for Russian economy, but let me tell you, this is not the case. I'm quite sure Russian businesses are not happy about it. I'm quite sure Russian central bank is not happy about this strengthening of the ruble. And the finance ministry is not happy about it, economical bloc in general. Because stronger ruble, by the way, makes Russian exports more expensive, right? And Russia is a huge exporter country. And when Russian companies export, let's say, goods for 100 billion, when they exchange money to pay taxes, if exchange rate is, let's say, first of all, if ruble is extremely strong, then Russian exports are losing little bit competition. But yet again, when these huge companies are exchanging these foreign currencies to buy ruble to pay taxes, well, stronger the ruble is, less rubles they gonna transfer to as a taxes, isn't it? To federal or regional budgets. Weaker the ruble is during this exchange, then more money will be sent as a taxes. I know my English is very bad, by the way, but this is the basics, isn't it? Hopefully, I did explain why this is at least few reasons why this strong ruble is not good for economy. And I don't know, something has to be done with this, and probably central bank will work on that together with the Ministry of Finances, Ministry of Economy, and I'm quite sure before end of this summer they will manage to weaken ruble one way or another towards levels like maybe 100 rubles for a dollar, 110 or even higher, because that's what exporters want, and that's what federal budget needs, really. Little bit weaker ruble, because if ruble continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger, a business is gonna go crazy, man. Especially big corporations that are exporting a lot of goods out of Russia. So probably some compromise, some middle ground will be found. And in my personal opinion, although I'm not finance expert, optimal level of exchange rate that will be good enough for everyone, businesses, federal budget, regional budgets, and also for people, is about maybe 110, 120. Because if you think if ruble will weaken up to 110, then prices will rise. This is not going to happen, by the way, because ruble already was on that level, and businesses that are using any opportunity to rise prices, they already did it. So when ruble reach again, for example, 110 level for $1, these businesses would not be able to rise prices because, well, in that case, government will have, I guess, something to say about it. So therefore, I don't expect a high inflation if ruble will get little weaker, because this is not good for economy, man. It might sound good that Russian ruble is getting stronger and stronger, but for economy this is not good. And this is it when it comes to news segment, dear friends. Hopefully you find it informative and useful. And I did promise that I will answer to a question that I receive from our member of community on Patreon, and let me do it right now. So question is from Alan Rogers: what is your opinion on their motive for their arson attacks on Keir Starmer's private house and their car? Dear friends, I reported about this story that happened in UK. At this point, I believe 2 Ukrainian citizens were arrested in connection with these arson attacks, and quite a strange information are circulating on internet, dear friends. Obviously, I'm not an investigator, and I don't know. I cannot know for sure what had happened, but according to reports, these 2 arrested Ukrainians were working as an escort or something like that, and that's about it. They were models. These 2 elements. They were models, younger men from Ukraine, and this is the rumors that they were working as an escort, working as a models, and what kind of connection they had with their Starmer is anybody's guess, dear friends. With Starmer, or I don't know, man. Maybe it's someone else, but probably they had some issues with Starmer, right? Because they, at least one of them, attacked house of Starmer and burned down his car or something like that. So I don't have strong opinion on this. Either, I don't really care. This is also true. So I don't know what to say. But rumors are that these guys were like models and escort and well, maybe they had some relationships with the Starmer, or I don't know, whomever, and were unhappy with something, and they decided to revenge by burning down their home and car. Who knows? But this is what I can tell you, friends. I'm not gonna go in some crazy speculations that we all see on the internet. That could be true, by the way, but yet again, it's not my job. I'm not really interested in personal life of politicians or anybody, by the way, for that matter. So it is what it is. And dear friends, there was no other questions, as I said, through any support platforms. Maybe things will be different tomorrow. As I said many times before, dear friends, if I receive a question or the commentary that you want to be highlighted, I will from Boosty or Patreon or Telegram, PayPal, then I will highlight these comments and questions. And when it comes to PayPal, dear friends, I would hide their name You can send a nickname that you want maybe to be used, because if I see it's a real name, then I might struggle. I even was struggling with this question from Alan Rogers. I didn't know, should I just copy question or name also. So this is something that I'm thinking about, and so please make sure that you're either putting your nickname before question, or or I will just quote from now on just a question without name, because you never know, maybe person wants to ask question but don't want name of this person to be also highlighted, so therefore I want to be just careful in this regard. Okay, this is it for now, dear friends. Hopefully you like this stream. I might make one or two videos, short videos from it, maybe, and publish on YouTube and Rumble for members of community that may have no time to watch a full video. Let's see how it goes. This is it for now. Anyways, have a wonderful day and take care. Thank you for your attention, dear friends.